Hi everybody, you're tuned into My Dad Says Audio. Welcome or welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be looking at my father's pair of Chris Rogers transmission line speakers. Dad, what can you tell us about the speakers today?
Okay, carrying on. This is part 3 in getting these going or upgrading them or fixing the crossover. So we're carrying on from that. I thought we'd just show you what we've actually achieved here. If you have a look here, here's the actual drivers involved. All 3 drivers. There's the KEF B139, which we've already done a video on. Here's the Peerless mid-range that's fitted, and here is the Sonor DAX or Audax soft dome tweeter that's involved. Now, if you remember from last time, I was going to try and refurbish these crossovers, which were the original ones that were fitted in there. However, unfortunately, when I measured this inductor here, it's supposed to be 4 millihenries, but it's not. It's closer to 5 millihenries. It measured 4.9 millihenries. So I thought, you know, at a certain point, you just got to recognize that something's sort of beyond lost cause, and I guess this was part of it. So what's happened in the interim is I've decided to scratch build some crossovers. Here you've got the original circuit. They're all third order crossovers for all the drivers. So, you know, 18 dB per octave crossovers, quite steep curves. What I had to do was go and order all new inductors. That inductor that I showed you before, that's the modern replacement. You might notice with these, I've epoxy resined, encapsulated them all in epoxy resin, each one of them. And I've made the board a little bit wider, but not as thick. And it's all point to point. I have repurposed from the old crossovers just the standoffs. There's the bass output, mid-range output, treble output or tweeter output, and the input over here. And also for the resistors, I've repurposed the standoffs there just in case they need to be changed for balance. With the inductors, I set a benchmark of using at least 1 mil thick wire for the inductors. So I've stuck with that, with the exception of that one which is on the base and that one which is on the mid-range, where I've gone for one slightly thicker wire on those 2 inductors of 1.2 mil. I think minimizing the losses in inductors is a worthwhile exercise in terms of sound quality. What else was I going to say? Because there's 6 inductors per crossover, what I'm quite mindful of is the orientation of them to minimize interaction between them. Here's 2 inductors to give you some idea. Basically, you can have inductors quite close if the orientation is like so, yeah,
Right.
or like so. As soon as it's in the same plane, you get some mutual inductance between one coil and the other, or some interaction between one coil and the other. There's quite an interesting video by this YouTuber here, Gabster. If you go to his channel, Gabster, and you look up his oldest three oldest videos, he actually does a very convincing demonstration of a mutual inductance between inductors, and he shows you what's the best way of avoiding that. Best way is if you can orient them differently. Failing that, if they're going to be in the same plane, you want them at least 5 inches apart, preferably a foot. Now, I haven't been able to do that with this, but what I have done is, if you look here, they're the two base inductors. I've oriented them in the same orientation, right? But all the other inductors for the mid-range and treble are not in the same orientation as these two. I'm assuming because they're the largest, they're probably going to throw out the largest field. So I figure keeping these separate from the mid-range and treble is a worthwhile exercise. And if you notice, I've maximized, if you look at them, basically all the inductors are at the edge of the board to maximize the spacing between them. See that one and that one there? They have the same orientation, but we have about 6 inches of space between that. That and that one, same orientation, but once again, 5.5, 6 inches in between them. Yeah, so we tried to minimize interaction between the inductors as much as possible. Compared to the old crossover, this has all metallized polypropylene caps all the way through it, and it's all hardwired point to point. There's no circuit board per se. I think this actually mightn't look quite as professional as with a circuit board, but I think this actually sounds better when it's point to point. The cabinets are quite good. As you've seen before, I've dampened the front baffle using this stuff, which is an adhesive sound deadening material that you use on car panels. So the car people will be quite familiar with that stuff. It's self-adhesive. So I've dampened the front of that a bit, so that should be a little bit quieter. And at the moment, all I've got to do is fit some wire, which I won't show you the old wire. It's nothing really special, but I'll be using this, which is solid core, a 1mm solid core, and I double it up for both the input and the base output. So that should work quite well as well. I think that's pretty much it. It'll be interesting to see how these scrub up once we've actually finished them. But it took me quite a while to do the crossovers because I had to order the inductors, and then I wanted to encapsulate the inductors in epoxy resin.
Cool.
Okay, so
all right,
that's where it stands. We're getting very close with this.
Yep.
And next one we'll do a little review on it. We'll spin a bit of vinyl probably, and we'll do a bit of a review. Tell you what we think.
Yeah, like the song says, it's the final countdown.
Yeah, can you think of anything else that I might have missed?
No, I'm just excited to hear them.
Yeah, I'll be interested to hear them too, especially after all this.
Because I've heard the Kevs in a different different speaker system, but I've never heard them in a transmission line.
Yep.
I don't think I've even heard a transmission. I've heard the little tiny jet streams. Yeah, jet streams.
The other thing is I'm going to have to replace the input terminals because I wanted to reuse the old ones, but whoever made these originally actually made the plastic cups themselves, and with me trying to carefully get them out, I couldn't because they glued them in. So basically, to get the old ones out, for me to rewire it, you have to destroy the old ones. So hence we'll be using those.
Yeah, cool. All right, everyone, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing. All right, everybody, until next time, have a good one. Bye.